On June 8, 2018, around 1 p.m., 12-year-old Victoria Gabrielli left home to roller skate in the city of Araçariguama, Brazil, and didn't return. Upon arriving home at the end of the day, Rosana, the girl's mother who worked as a teacher, was surprised that her daughter was not there. She went to the house of a sister who lived nearby to find her daughter, in vain. According to some reports, Rosana even called Luis Alberto, the girl's father, to ask if she was with him. Rosana and Luis Alberto were divorced, and she thought that maybe Victoria could be at his house, but she wasn't. The day after the disappearance, the police were notified and investigations began. The police carried out searches in the forest areas of the city and neighboring towns. They also looked for the girl at a local dam, but nothing was found. Police then requested security camera footage from the location where Victoria was last seen, near the town's sports hall. However, these images were not relevant in investigations. The days went by and Victoria Gabrielli had not returned home, and there was no clue about her whereabouts either. On June 11, 2018, 3 days after the disappearance, a person contacted the police and said that his best friend had direct involvement in the crime. This person was referring to Julio Cesar Ergese, a 24-year-old bricklayer's helper who lived in the nearby town of Mairinque. In his testimony to the police, Julio gave 8 different versions. In one of these versions, he said that he accompanied the couple Mayara Borges and Bruno Marcel to the city of Araçariguama to collect a drug debt, and arriving there, they came across Victoria skating. It was then that Mayara got out of the vehicle and kidnapped the girl. After this testimony, Julio had his temporary arrest decreed. The couple Mayara and Bruno were also heard by the police, but as there was no substantial evidence against them, the two were released. Victoria's disappearance had repercussions throughout the Brazilian media, and with that, several people became aware of the case and new witnesses began to emerge. One of these witnesses said they saw the moment when Victoria was approached by a tattooed man and described him to the police. However, the description didn't match Julio's, but Bruno Marcel's. The search for Victoria continued and the family still had hope of finding her alive. On June 16, 2018, 8 days after the disappearance, Victoria Gabrielli's body was found by a waste picker who was walking his dog through a bush area, 7 kilometers from the place where she was last seen. The body was in advanced state of decomposition, which indicated that she had been killed on the same day as her disappearance. According to the police, the girl had her hands and feet tied, and her body tied to a tree. She was wearing the same clothes she was wearing the day she disappeared, and her roller skates were found next to her body. According to the coroner, the cause of death was strangulation. There were wounds on her forearms that, according to experts, indicated that she had tried to defend herself. Because the body was already in an advanced state of decomposition, it was not possible to say whether Victoria was abused or not. Also, no traces of sperm were found on her body or on her clothes. So far, what it seemed was that the criminals only intended to take her life, since they didn't even ask the family for ransom while they were in possession of the girl. Victoria Gabrielli was buried on June 17, 2018. Her burial was marked by strong commotion and came together more than 2,000 people. Rosana, her mother, felt sick and couldn't attend to her daughter's funeral. The father, Luis Alberto, carried his daughter's coffin in tears. Julio Cesar Ergese remained in detention throughout the investigations period. On June 21, 2018, the couple Mayara Borges and Bruno Marcel were arrested. There was no evidence linking Julius to the crime scene and no witnesses who could confirm having seen him with Victoria. However, his genetic material was in the car used in the crime and also in the victim's fingernails. Sniffer dogs identified Bruno Marcel's scent at the crime scene, but no genetic or fingerprint material was found linking him and Mayara to the crime. Both have always claimed innocence. The police heard over 70 people during the investigations. They also collected the cell phones of all suspects and used software capable of recording deleted messages, photos, files, and GPS location. On June 24, 2018, the Public Security Bureau offered a 10,000 reais reward to anyone providing information about the crime. On May 22, 2019, almost a year after the crime, the police arrested Odilon Alves, a fourth suspect involved in the case. Odilon is named as the drug dealer who would have ordered the kidnapping of the sister of a drug user who owed him money, which resulted in the mistaken kidnapping of Vittoria Gabrielli. The police reached him through an anonymous tip. When the police arrived, Odilon was collecting drug money. He was approached in his car and arrested. On October 21, 2019, Julio Cesar Argese went on trial by popular jury. The same friend of Julio's who informed the police about his involvement in the crime also testified. According to him, Julio sought him out on June 11th, 3 days after the crime, and was very nervous and didn't say anything that made sense. He then gave Julio sugar water to calm down and insisted that he talk about what had happened. That's when Julio started saying that he didn't know where they had left the girl. As the disappearance was all over the news, the defendant's friend realized that the girl was Vittoria. He said he felt like his parents, and even considering Julio as a brother, he went to the police station to report him. The defense contested the main evidence as not being conclusive evidence. They also claimed that Julio did participate in the kidnapping of Vittoria, but not in her death. They used the fact that sniffer dogs didn't find Julio's scent at the place where the body was found. A sniffer dog trainer who helped search for Vittoria Gabrielli said during the trial that he has no way of handling the dog, that he will find the scent if it is there. The smell of Bruno Marcel, another involved in the crime, was identified at the place where the body was, and the scent of Mayara, also involved, was on the road that gave us access to the forested area where Vittoria was found dead. The trial lasted almost 11 hours, and Julio Cesar Argese was sentenced to 34 years in prison for kidnapping, murder, and concealing a corpse. The couple, Mayara Borges and Bruno Marcel, remain in prison and await their trial. In November 2020, Odilon Alves was sentenced by justice to serve 25 years in prison for drug trafficking, criminal association, and illegal possessions of weapons. He is still indicted for the death of Vittoria Gabrielli, and if convicted, he will have another 30 years added to his sentence. Still in 2020, Vittoria's parents received a letter from Julio, who was convicted of taking the girl's life. In that letter, he said that he had nothing to do with the crime as they were talking, and justified himself by saying that he had evidence that he was not one of those responsible for the crime. The girl's parents decided to take this letter to the delegate responsible for the Bruna Roca Madureiras case. According to this delegate, the letter that Julio wrote made no sense, since all the facts had already been established at the time of the crime and investigation was already completed. When asked about the letter, Vittoria's father said that he felt used by Julio, and that at no time did the criminal mention his daughter, only showing coldness and writing only what interested him. According to the authorities, the motive of the crime would be the collection of a drug debt. Julio and the couple, Mayara and Bruno, went after the sister of a boy who owed a lot of money to the drug lord in the region, Odilon Alves. Their goal was to kidnap the girl and take her life if her brother didn't pay off the debt. However, they confused Vittoria with this boy's sister, also named Vittoria, and kidnapped her by mistake. When they realized they had kidnapped the wrong girl, they chose to kill her rather than let her go. The two, in addition to sharing the same name, also had a physical similarity, and this contributed to the outcome of this case. Well folks, that's it. Thank you so much for watching to the end, best wishes, and I see you next time.